Hey guys, it's Sarah, and I wanted to just kind of do a quick little tutorial video today about how I kind of prep my bookmarks and get them ready for printing in Bambu Studio. I know I showed you guys a little bit about this in another video I've done, and I kind of wanted to come back to it and show you how I go ahead and set it up actually in Affinity Designer, which is my software here that I like to use. And then I'll show you how I take it over to Bambu Lab, set it up there on their MakerLab website, and then import it into the Bambu Lab slicer. And I'll show you how I set it up so that I can actually do a print down and I can put the bookmark on a PEI plate, which will allow for some really cool textures. So the first thing that I do, and I actually have like a file setup that I normally do this in, but I will create this one from scratch. Affinity Designer makes it pretty easy to put a pattern within a shape. So I like to do rounded rectangles, which is if you scroll over here, you're going to have this multiple shape option. And if you don't see rounded rectangle and you click the little right arrow, it's going to give you multiple shapes. But the top one is a rounded rectangle. You simply just click and drag your shape into place. Now, my shape, I'm going to set up for the bookmark size that I want. And I do that by going over down here to my little transform tool. I'll even drag it out just to make life easy. And I want my width to be set to 50.8 millimeters, which will come out to 2 inches, and then 152.4 millimeters, and that'll come out to 6 inches. 2 by 6 inches is the size that I use. And then I tend to adjust the corner ratio here a little bit to about 10%. Gives it a nice little curve. Nice shape. And what I need to do is actually fill this rectangle with the pattern that I want. Now, I happen to be looking over on Creative Fabrica, and I found this little 90s scribbles pattern that I thought would look kind of cool as a bookmark, especially on a confetti PEI surface. I thought that would look really cool. Flipping back over here, I'm going to go File, Place, and I'm going to navigate to the location of it, and I'm going to bring in that scribble pattern. And then I'm just going to click and drag the pattern to whatever size I want. I want this one to be, I think, bigger. I feel like this pattern should be a little bit bigger. And then over here in my layers menu, I'm going to drag and hover over my shape, and it's going to drop it into my bookmark. It'll create a little group, and I can just click it, and then I can drag and move it around to whatever portion of the pattern I think would look good. So I feel like that probably works. And then you can kind of scale up and down. Sometimes you have to zoom out if you're really scaling the pattern up and down, which in this case, this one I am. Scale up and down until I find, whatever I think would look kind of cool and what I think will work with my 0.2 millimeter nozzle. So I kind of like this and click off. So this is the pattern that I'm going to use. Now, what's cool about this is if I wanted to, I could set up a bunch of these and use them as a template that I could then, drag and drop multiple different bookmark designs in. And that's easy enough to do just by really duplicating the shape. And then I can just move it over, and then duplicate is Command J. And by doing that, it will actually move it and follow that same distance on your artboard. So they're all nicely and evenly spaced. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and just duplicate all of those and move them down here. And then I can just make my artboard file, because this doesn't really leave Affinity. It's just sort of a holding space. And so I've got all of these, and as I wanted to, I can drag and drop new patterns into each one, or if I want to just clear them out for now, I can just kind of go in and expand and clear them out one by one, just like that. So all of those are cleared out. They might be in a weird order over here, so you might want to make sure you take the time to number them, or at least when you're clicking, make sure you find which one you're actually focused on when you go to add in new patterns. But that's how you can set this design up, to just drag and drop. Now, when you're ready to export, what you'll do is click the bookmark that you actually want to export. So I have this one selected, and then I'm going to go to File, Export. And in here, I want to actually set the area to my selection only. So it's only selecting my bookmark. Then I make sure that I'm exporting as a PNG, so the corners are transparent. And then I'll export that out, save it, drop it on my desktop. I'll save it as graffiti bookmark. And we're ready to head over to Makerspace. So now I'm over here in Maker World. If you've never been over here, this is the landing page, Maker World, and they have what they call the MakerLab right here. If you click, it will bring you over to a bunch of different modeling tools that they kind of have. And I haven't played with all of them, but the one I use the most is called Image to Keychain. And what Image to Keychain does is it actually converts an image to a flat file, and that's great for things like keychains as well as bookmarks. So over here, I am going to create from blank, and it offers, some examples, but what you do is click Browse File, go over to the file that I created, graffiti bookmark, and I'm going to load it. And you'll see it loads it in. It recognizes kind of the shape. It's keeping an eye on the background. It should see these spaces here that are transparent, so I can always kind of mark that. And then, of course, you've got your image thickness. And if you need to make any image adjustments color-wise, you can do that here. Typically, I don't need to because I have everything set up already in Affinity. So I click Confirm, and it's going to process the image. Depending on the complexity of the image, this may take a few minutes, but it's usually pretty quick. All right, it's going to show you an auto matching feature. It's going to try and match colors. Now, it defaults to 4, 8, and 12, which if you have the Bambu Studio, you know that you use an automated material system, and depending on how many you have, that gives you a number of color options. I always kind of jump to 8 because that's how many I have, and it will try to match. And it looks like it's thinking that there's more than one kind of green going on in here, which would make sense. There's sort of like a neon green, maybe a darker green, and like 2 teal shades, and then there's some purple shades and a pink. So it's not perfect. If I do this, I see, okay, it thinks that there's 11 colors. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to jump to 12, and I will just kind of scale my colors back a little bit, and I'll show you how. Click Confirm. I have the design here. Obviously, I need to shrink the number of colors I have. So it's thinking that there's, for some reason, a green, 2 different types of green, which 2 different minty greens. I definitely don't think that there's 2 different minty greens. It's seeing that one, and then there's maybe this random area. So I'm going to go ahead and just set this to 6. Doesn't really change anything. There's definitely a pink, definitely purple, blue, but I do need to eliminate 3 colors. I go clean up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm down to 10. So I need to eliminate 2 more. So looking at this, I'm thinking I'm going to just go ahead and flip this blue over. I don't think that's too overwhelming. I think that works pretty well. And if I feel like the design has areas where maybe a section needs like a different color, I can actually click it by hand and change the color that way. So it's like I feel like this little squiggle here and this little squiggle here, I could balance out by doing it a different color, make it seem less blue. This one here, maybe even this one here. Okay. So now it doesn't seem like there's so much blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So I need to eliminate 1 more. We've got the green and we've got the teal, blue, red. I still have got this darker green, which I'm not entirely sure where it's seeing that darker green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the 4 to 5. Yeah, I don't even see where that color was. So sometimes that's a duplicate, that it could be just a very small area that it picks up. So now I have this design, and now this design is essentially 8 colors. And if there's anything else I want to fix real quick, I take a moment and do that. Looking at this, I feel like this is a lot of green stacked here. So maybe I will change this to an orange, and maybe I will change this one to a red, to the pink. Yeah, anything else that looks a little off? No, I like that. Okay, so I have the design ready. It's where I want it. I need to go ahead and adjust the size of it. I'm going to kind of select my object. Yep, select my object over here. And then it kind of defaults to its own size. I don't know why, but that's part of the reason why we used the millimeters earlier, is because down here it's going to be in millimeters. So I know that I had used a design width of 50.8 millimeters. So if I put that in the width, it will shrink it back down to the size that I need it. A single bookmark would fit on an A1 mini plate. You could do 3 of them. If you have the A1 mini, I usually get 5 on a plate when I'm doing my P1S. So I just need to do couple more things. I'm going to set the thickness to 0.5 and the image thickness to 0.5 as well, because I feel like 1 millimeter thick bookmarks are just the right thickness. They're not too thick to be stuck between a page, but they're thick enough to feel sturdy and durable. You'll notice I don't engage face down mode, and that's because I find it does something weird. So I'm going to take care of that when I get over into the Bambu slicer. So I'm going to go to download. You're going to want to always pick the 0.2 millimeter nozzle if you can. You're going to get finer detail, and in this one's case, I think you'll definitely need it. And you want to download the 3MF file. Occasionally, I've seen people say they've opened up their bookmark designs from here, and the design doesn't contain any color, and it's most likely because you've either hit this and it like defaults to STL, or you've hit STL. STL is not going to contain color data. You're going to want the 3MF file. So I always just kind of drop down and make sure that I'm picking the 3MF one. All right, so it's preparing the file. This takes a minute and then it's going to download. If you're doing this multiple times, I recommend going back in, clicking here, and actually naming your keychain before you download it. Otherwise, be aware that they all say bookmarked RAF, and if you're like me and you download multiple, so make sure you get the right one. Let's go over to the Bambu Slicer and get this set up. All right, so now we're over here in the Bambu Slicer, and I'm going to go ahead and click Open Project, and I'm going to go to my downloads and grab my keychain draft and open that up, and there we have it. Got my print ready to go. So let's get this set up. So the first thing I do is I go over and I flip the nozzle that I want. And then I am going to go in, I'm going to turn off my prime tower because that's a waste of filament. And then I'm going to take my bookmark and I am going to rotate it 180 degrees so that it's upside down. I also double check, make sure that the size is correct when it comes in, just in case something weird happens in translation, but it looks like it's the correct size. So I'm going to drop this here and I am going to fill the bed with copies. It's going to make 4 of them. And I take a moment usually to just kind of move them into place a little bit. Okay. And then I will typically go ahead and copy and paste one more because Bambu Studio just doesn't quite seem to understand that you can rotate shapes to fill the bed with copies. So there we go. I'll do that, get them all lined up. Like I said, you can usually get about 5 on a plate. That's how I do it. So these are set and ready. So let's get our settings set up. Now, I tend to use 0.14 to minimize the number of layers. I make sure prime tower is not enabled. And then over in quality, I turn off, in this case, ironing the top surface because there's no point. This is just black. Leave the wall generator set to Arcane. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but this kind of adjusts the thickness of the walls depending on the size you need. And that's kind of important when you're working with some of these designs. And then I make sure that I've got my colors. They all kind of came in. They're all set to Bambu's PLA Basic. I usually go in and set these to Polyterra because that's what I work with the most, unless I know for certain that a color, it happens to be in Polylight. All right. And then flushing volume wise, I know I have talked a lot about how you can adjust these numbers and dial them in and all of that. A quick way, if you want to be lazy about it, and not go and calculate the flushing is you can set it to somewhere around 0.5, 0.6, and this will usually tailor and get them pretty close. So I'm going to do that for setup, but before I print, I will most likely go in and consult my chart and put my numbers in. I'll leave a link to that video if you want to learn how to dial this in. And I find that the purge numbers seem to work about the same for both the 0.4 and the 0.2 millimeter nozzle. If anything, I'm probably still over purging with the 0.2 because you don't need as much. So click OK. And then I'm just going to go to slice plate. One other thing to point out, and it does default to this with the keychain one, is make sure you've got smooth PEI or high temp plate selected as well. That just kind of adjusts things a little bit. So it's thinking, it's generating the walls. This will often take a couple of minutes depending on the complexity of the design. That's why I kind of try to line everything up first run around so I don't have to have the slicer go multiple times. Okay, so we sliced okay. This is a more complicated design because of the number of colors. But as you can see, it will do 4 layers of color and then it'll flip and just do black, which will at least shrink the time down a little bit. And this isn't too bad in terms of purge. The models themselves are going to use 46 grams, and I'm only flushing about 6 grams of filament for a total of 52. So this is a pretty efficient print for me. And I always kind of take a moment and make sure everything looks okay on the opposite side. And it looks like this design comes out pretty nice looking. I don't see any areas that look off. All right. So this is all set up and ready to be sent to my printer. So I will make sure that I've got these colors loaded, and then I will match, send them over to the printer, and I'll show you a PEI plate and how things get set up. So for this design, I'm going to use a textured PEI plate, which has some options for some really cool textures. This one's got sort of like this rock crackle effect on one side, and then on the other side, it's got a star pattern. These are really nice for doing cool kind of designs, especially for like this whole flat image down. Now, before you put this in the machine, you're going to want to make sure that you clean it really well. I recommend, honestly, doing a wash with Dawn, like just soap and water, and then doing like an alcohol wipe down. And then once I have it all cleaned up and ready to go, I actually will do a layer of hairspray, and this helps ensure that the prints stay in place for that first layer. The filament has trouble sticking to the plates, and I really recommend a layer of hairspray. And there you have it, guys. Really cool graffiti bookmarks with a beautiful holographic effect. I hope this video was helpful. Please like the video if you liked it to tell the Eldritch algorithm that you want to see more of it. And tap the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys next time.